The Home Tech Podcast is supported by listeners like you. To find out more, go to HomeTech.fm/support. This is the Home Tech Podcast for Friday, October 5th. From Sarasota, Florida, I'm Seth Johnson.
And from Denver, Colorado, I'm Jason Griffin. How you doing, Seth?
Pretty good, considering the northern part of the state's about to get slammed with a hurricane. Probably as this is played out.
Oh, really?
Things already, yeah, it just popped up.
So out of touch, yeah.
Yeah, so were we. I was sitting on the couch the other night, and I was sitting next to my wife, and I let out a curse word, and she's like, hey. I'm like, there's a hurricane.
Oh.
And we were kind of in the uncertainty path. It was low pressure center. It wasn't even a hurricane yet, but I kind of keep an eye on that stuff. But they're pretty good. It's 5-6 days out. They know where it's going. So I hope everybody, if you're up in the panhandle of Florida, hope you're all right.
Stay safe. Yeah. That's always scary. I am thankful here in Colorado we don't have to deal with that. I can only imagine what that's like.
Just a mess. It just makes a mess of things, and hopefully, I mean, it looks bad. It's a Category 3. It got huge overnight in the Gulf there. So just you evacuate. You just leave.
Yeah.
Leave and hope your property stays through the storm. So
yeah. Well, on a much, much lighter note, I think we've got a fun episode here in front of us. Google had their event today as we're sitting here and recording, the Pixel event, and a couple of stories came out of that we're going to talk about, handful of headlines as well. No guest this week, Seth, just you and me. I know on a personal note, this was a big week for us in terms of, I guess we both must have had some money burning a hole in our pockets. Or something.
Yeah. Something like that, right?
Yeah. I've got a shiny new Ring alarm and one of the Flow water kits that I bought for my house. If you were listening a few weeks ago, you're familiar with the unfortunate incident I had in the middle of the night where probably some punk kid in the neighborhood decided he'd come by and turn my hose spigot on full blast in the middle of the night. And thankfully, neighbors eventually alerted me to it and there was no damage there. But definitely sort of a wake-up call that you've got to be aware of what's going on, and this was the kind of thing that Flow with their water monitoring could have turned into a much less wasteful event, right? I have no idea how long that was running. So excited to get that put in. I do need to hire a plumber for it, so it's going to be probably a little while knowing the speed with which things move around my house, Seth.
Oh, come on, DIY, Jason. It's just a pipe. Just cut that thing.
I'm not soldering pipes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have...
That I can tell you is not going to happen.
I've got the plastic one, so for me, it would just be cut and put the little things in and done. It's pretty easy. So cut and glue, and then you're done.
Yeah.
So, I ended up picking up last week. I think we talked about it a little bit. That Cavo piece, and that finally got shipped in on Monday, and I've set it up. It's sitting there. Unfortunately, haven't had much time to use it, so I'm hoping to get some hands-on time this week and put something together for some kind of review where I can kind of go over it. I got to say, first impressions are mixed. I'm pretty impressed with what they're trying to do. I can see the end goal. My setup wasn't that smooth, and I haven't used it. So, but the first impressions using device, it makes for a nice room remote, I guess is what I would call it.
Right. We'll definitely look forward to hearing more about that. I'll be sharing more about my Ring alarm setup as well. I haven't had time to do it just yet, but definitely planning to get that done here this weekend at the latest, and so I look forward to that. It's something that my wife and I wanted to have here, just for that extra peace of mind, and we haven't had that on our home to date, and read a bunch of great reviews about it. I know it's not a new system, but it was my first time really researching it in depth, and I'm excited to have it, so we'll report back.
Yep, sounds good. What do you say we jump into some home tech headlines?
Let's do it. Xiaomi. I got the fun one.
Oh,
Xiaomi.
Yes, you do. Let's hit.
Xiaomi. Hit me one more time.
Xiaomi.
There it is. We'll give some context to that in a second. They have introduced a 4K HDR Mi Box. Tech giant Xiaomi announced an updated version of its streaming player, the Mi Box S. Features include the built-in Google Assistant and Chromecast, 4K HDR at 60 frames per second, and support for both Dolby and DTS audio. This will be available through Walmart.com in the U.S. Pre-order starting October 9th. Shipping on the 19th for $60.
Not bad. We talked about the what was it, Roku last week being at like $30 and $50 or something like that. This is another 4K box under $75. I mean, this is great. So
Yeah,
can't complain.
Lots of options. And I think we've got to give a shout out to, I know we're pausing our headlines here, Tokyo Jim, right?
Yes. So I think we talked about this a little bit a long time ago, and he was trying to describe for us how to pronounce
Xiaomi
over the internet or over email, and it wasn't working.
That's
so
a nice way to put it. He was actually writing in to tell me how horrible my pronunciation was.
Yeah, so we asked him, like, hey, since you are actually over in China right now, can you record yourself saying it properly and send it to us and we'll use it on the show? And he did the next best thing. He didn't record himself. He went to an actual Xiaomi store and recorded one of the sales associates pronouncing their company's name. So that's
beautiful.
Xiaomi.
It doesn't get more authentic than that.
Yep, that's it.
Now we're set. Every time one of these headlines comes up, we're covered. So we appreciate that.
We'll have to reference that recording. Yeah, exactly.
All right, back to headlines.
In less than 2 years, anything that can connect to the internet will come with a unique password. That is, if it's produced or sold in California. The Information Privacy Connected Devices Bill that comes into effect on January 1, 2020 effectively bans pre-installed and hard-coded default passwords. The new regulation mandates device manufacturers either create a unique password for every single device they produce at the time of production or require the user to create a unique one on setup. So no more using password 1234, Jason. It's not going to work.
Damn it. It's going to make my life so much more difficult. I like this. California's out in front of this one. I like it. I don't see anybody, what did they say, hard coding a unique password or something like that. That, to me, doesn't seem like it'll be the path, but this idea of requiring the user to create one and enforcing higher standards on that, to me, seems like a great idea.
Yep.
After announcing the details for its new 5G home internet service last month, Verizon is now getting the first customers hooked up as it offers a free Apple TV and 3 months of YouTube TV, along with the service for customers in Indianapolis, Los Angeles, Sacramento, and Houston. Interestingly, Seth, didn't realize this, but Verizon is technically using a proprietary solution to offer the service instead of, quote, true 5G standards. But they do say that customers should see speeds around 300 megs per second.
You see my little note there? Of course they are. Like, of course they're not using the standard that...
Right.
I mean, CDMA and LT, like all that mess we had with our cell phones, they're just going to continue that. So, yeah, thanks, Verizon.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Ubiquiti Networks has announced its latest offering, the Amplify Instant. The product boasts a super fast setup process and an affordable price point. Ubiquiti claims that the setup process takes roughly 2 minutes and can be purchased with or without the range-extending mesh points. Amplify Instant will go on sale for $99 for just the router itself, and then $179 for the router and mesh point combo. Cool.
I don't know. Are you still using your Amplify?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great product line. I have warmed up to it a lot in the past, probably the past 6 months, because I figured out how there's like a way you can do remote management on these things. And you can sign in. You have to sign in with a Google account, which my work account is a Google account, so I just use that, and I can get in there and manage different Unify routers and update them and keep them and check them and that kind of thing, see if they're offline. So it's very basic, but at least I can do it. And before I wasn't doing that. So it still requires a restart every now and then, but it seems to have been getting better. So
cool.
Still using.
All right. Well, look forward to seeing how they do with their new line there. Moving on, earlier this week, Facebook announced a new hardware product designed to creep everyone in your family out. The Facebook portal works as a video intercom designed to connect you to all of your friends and family members, the ones you didn't want to talk to anyway. Portal features a 10.1 or 15.6-inch touchscreen. Wow, pretty big screen. Alexa built in and integration with news and music services.
Sorry, you missed that one.
10.1 inch model will sell for $199. 15.6 inch model will sell for $349.
Interesting product. A 15-inch monitor looks kind of crazy. What was one of the things that's really cool on this is let's get past all the privacy concerns about putting a camera linked to Facebook inside your house.
Right. Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Especially after they just announced a massive amount of people were just hacked and personal information stolen. They had no idea it was going on for like 11 whole days or some crazy amount. This product has a really cool feature with the camera in that it kind of uses like a virtual pan tilt zoom. I think like Nest cams have this, like the new HD Nest cams have like a virtual pan tilt zoom type thing where if you're walking around the room, it'll follow you around as you're walking back and forth. And I thought that was actually kind of cool. An intercom from Facebook, especially at those price points, not that interested in it, honestly. Like,
yeah,
less Facebook
makes it even more creepy.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Smart home appliance maker Nest, which is now part of Google's broader hardware group, had a quiet announcement to make today alongside the flurry of Pixel 3 and other hardware-related Google news. In addition to the 4 existing Nest thermostat color options, there will now be, wait for it, black, gold, and silver options as well. Yay. Yeah. Stepping up the game, putting the trim on.
Innovation. Yeah. Innovation, baby.
Put some chrome on it. It'll look good. Like,
that's right. I don't like being a Nest hater, but I just want to see something.
Yeah.
Anything.
Maybe more exciting than a thermostat. I don't know.
I mean, the colors they're nice. I get it, but anyways.
They'll go well with, they'll fit in with people who, like interior designers and that kind of thing. It gives you options to go in where it probably would have stood out like a sore thumb in other situations. So not bad. It's not a bad thermostat. It's still a decent thermostat. So hey, Nest.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens now that I forget all of the details. I know we've talked about it, sort of moved back in under Google and that whole restructuring. So I think that'll take a little bit of time to work itself out, but hopefully we'll continue to see more from Nest. Moving on from our big headlines here, the big news, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, that we want to touch on this week is Google's Pixel event that they just held today. And aside from some cool new phones and a sort of a tablet laptop hybrid that they unveiled, they did have a couple of announcements directly related to the smart home. And the biggest one, I would say, or at least the biggest headline grabbing one, is no doubt is the Google Home Hub. And we've known this has been coming for a little bit of time now. This is essentially Google's answer to Amazon Show. So it's like that touchscreen video screen form that sits on your countertop and also, of course, has the assistant built in. So price point on this is going to be $149, available October 22nd, coming right up. And Seth, I think this thing looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I agree. $149. It comes in almost more color choices than the Nest thermostats. So it comes in charcoal. Okay, that must be dark. Aqua and sand, and it has the same kind of like cloth speaker cover that you'd find on the Google Home line of products. So it's small, Jason. Like it's not a 15-inch screen. I think Facebook's got them there, but I don't know.
They definitely do.
I kind of like the small because it keeps it out of the way, and the way they've designed their screens, it looks like they know it's kind of a smaller screen, and you look over and you can kind of see the information that's more relevant to you on there. So I kind of like what they're doing here. I'm very interested. I might, if I had another $149 spring upon me, I might go out and get one of these because I do like using my Google Assistant way more than I do the lousy Amazon Echo devices. Like they're much more pleasant to use there and to look at. Although I have the older models, like the newer Amazon ones are nicer, but for $149, man, that's a great price.
Yeah, it's a great price point, and I think they did a really nice job on the physical design of this device. I know that this is a category, for me personally, I'm intrigued by.
Yeah.
Because coming from the professional channel, the idea of this sort of touchscreen video interface is not anything really all that new. And so to see this sort of form coming into the DIY segment of the market, this sort of form and function, I think is interesting, because on the surface, I'm like, I feel like these hold a ton of promise, and I'm intrigued to see if they become more of a mainstay. But I'm also trying to think through what like my day-to-day use cases would actually be with one of these devices, and I kind of still struggle to come up with those. Like, I've got my phone nearby almost all the time, and usually if I want to look something up, that's my default, and this would be at a stationary point in the kitchen where I'd need to walk over. So I don't know that it would replace a whole lot of that. I don't know. Like, I think they're very cool. I think they did a great job on the design of this one. Like you said, it is much smaller than it looks in some of the renders and some of the pictures, I should say. There's an article that we'll link to in the show notes where they show it sitting next to an iPhone, and you get a better sense for the scale of it that way. And it's definitely smaller than I thought it was after looking at a few of the pictures. But I like that. I think nobody wants a big honking 15-inch touchscreen on their countertop. At least most people don't. Most of us mere mortals who are concerned about countertop space, or normal people. Anyways, I think it's a really cool looking device, and at $150, that may be compelling enough for me to pick one of these up at some point and kick the tires on it a little bit.
Well, I think we need to do this as a customary. I mean, they literally named it the Home Hub, so
ring that bell. We don't get to do that enough. Anymore.
I think it definitely deserves the bell ring. And they also added some little software on here, the Home Hub, and I guess it's inside the phones now, where it's kind of like more Apple Home like the Home app that you get on the Apple, where you swipe down from the top and you can pull up that little Home app. The interface basically gives you an overview of what's going on inside your entire house. Like it's basically a broad overview, like what lights are on, what's the temperature set at, and that kind of thing. A very like a direct shot at what Apple's doing with HomeKit. So very interesting. I'm not really in the Google ecosystem other than like using Google for search and mail and business stuff. I don't get too much into it on the home side because we're pretty much all Apple here. So I'm genuinely curious to see how well this works out. What's funny is like there's an article that we have that shows that home dashboard, and it's on an iPhone. So like obviously we're gonna get this update on our Google maybe Assistant app or something. I'm not sure. Is there a Google Home app? See, I didn't even know there's a Google Home app.
Yeah. So there's actually, this was part of the announcements today, or part of the news coming out of the event at least, was that what you're talking about is I think they called it the Home Dashboard or something. I don't know. Home Hub, so like as part of designing that or unveiling that new device, they talked about this dashboard, which is exactly what you're talking about. It's like a home control dashboard. And then the secondary story from that is that this revamped Home app, which I'm with you, and I felt stupid. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Like, I guess I didn't realize there was a dedicated Google Home app before. It sounds like there was, but that this is a significant revamp to it. So it says the revamped Android and iOS software promises both a much more organized approach to smart home control and more flexibility for where you take control. So it's got a dashboard, gives you a clear view of your various home-friendly devices in one place rather than jumping from app to app, organizes them by room, and it also says that you can check on your home from wherever you are and make adjustments on compatible devices.
Well, this goes to show you how much I pay attention. I actually have the Google Home app on my phone, and it's what I use to set up my Google Home. And
it's confusing nowadays, though, right? It's not that easy to keep track of. I mean,
not unless I'm like doing this every single day. And the design language is like way different than the iPhone design language. Like it's all what do they call it? The card-based. I forget what Google has a specific
tiles or whatever.
Yeah, and it doesn't like fit with what I think an app should look like. So I actually had it buried in a folder, and I never use it because all I do is yell at the Google Home to do the things that I need it to do.
And that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough. That's all I need to do. This is where you would go in and you would set up your home control devices for your lights and that kind of thing. So makes sense. Makes sense that it's there. Like I have the Ecobee thermostat hooked up to it, and I guess I could yell at it to change the temperature or something if I felt like it.
So does the version that you have on your phone, is it already updated? Like, is it already this latest one?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have at all what that looks like. I mean, it looks like a UI refresh. Kind of like, I guess there's some big news this last week that Amazon had done the same thing. I haven't seen that in the in their app, like to how you deal with Alexa stuff. Oh, there we go. Go away. Like I haven't seen that at all. But I've seen screenshots of it, and again, I don't know who hangs out in the apps. Like the whole point of having these voice devices is that
that you don't have to.
Yeah, and so like I don't really care what the app has in it. I'm just going to yell at the stupid speaker and have it do what I want it to do. And I got to say, yelling at a Google speaker is, I mean, the Home Hub, one of the demos they had, like it recognizes your voice, it figures out who you are, it figures out in context what you want to do, and I think that's like if you go back and you look at like and watch the show that they put on, like the demos that they put on, like this is really what these devices should be. I think Google has a clear vision of what their devices should be. Amazon, I don't think has that. Maybe they do, but they can't execute it, and only Google can execute it because they have all your data. And then Apple just wants to play you music for whatever random reason. Like it's all it wants to do. So,
yeah, they got a vision.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think there's a clear and executed upon vision that Google is showing with these products that they announced today, and I really like it. It looks clean, it looks easy to use, and I'm in a price point $149 for a little touchscreen device you set on your desk or on your countertop and get to use. I think it's great. So I very curious. Like you said, you're curious. I'm curious about where this goes with these types of devices, and but I think the demos are just great. So we'll put a link to the whole like 3-hour long, 2-hour long stupid thing. It got 30 minutes worth of pre-show looped music on it. So skip to 30 minutes.
It was a good beat though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we listened to it the entire time we were setting up the show tonight, but
it got me in the zone, Seth.
Yep. Yeah, we're ready for Google. But yeah, so we'll put a link to the video in the show notes. You can go check it out. Check some of the demos out. They have some demos at the end of the presentation too, like some staged. Well, it was all staged, but they have demos like at like just videos of how the stuff works at the end, and I thought those were pretty helpful and pretty cool. So you can see what they're trying to promote with the Google Home Hub. So exciting.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see if I pull the trigger. I'm thinking about it more and more, and it's like I think with the age my kids are, it just becomes one more screen that I have to fight to keep them away from. So maybe I wait a little bit.
One thing that's kind of nice about this one is it tries to blend in a little bit more. They put in like ambient light sensors and to figure out like what the temperature of the room was or what the light level of the room was, and they will adjust like the background pictures or your pictures actually that they display on them to fit in within the context of your room. So you're not like walking into a dark room with this bright Amazon screen on Amazon.
Torch mode.
Yes, because all right, so Amazon's on their second generation of devices, right? They're on their second Echo screen thing.
I believe so. Yeah.
They don't have this feature. Like Amazon should be leading this, and Google comes out and says, yeah, we'll give that a try. And it's going to do all this really cool stuff that Amazon really should have put into their garbage products, but they didn't because they don't care. Like I'm done with Amazon. Like it's just give me a break, guys. Come on. Like Amazon should be leading the pack here, and instead they're just producing barely survivable
throwing stuff
products.
At the wall.
I don't feel like they're doing that anymore. Like I definitely felt like they were doing that at the beginning, but like if you look at like how Google rolled this product out, and then you go and look at like what Amazon did the other day with their Echo Show. I keep messing up the name. Echo Show. If you go see how these are two devices coming out literally weeks apart, and look at how refined and well looking Google's is for a first try, and look at what Amazon's done. And it's like, guys, you're not even playing in the same game level here. Like this is not even the same game. Like Google's over there playing like rugby or something, just knocking people over, and Amazon's like putting around on putt course with their products.
Chess and checkers, right?
Chess and checkers, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's even more brutal than that because like the things that the Google Home Hub is doing is not. It's already past what Amazon just released. Like it's not even fair that they come out with this a week later. You know, like I don't know. I'm frustrated with Amazon, and I really like what Google's doing here. So I may jump ship and just change everything overnight, like in the house over to these Google products and see what happens. I doubt anybody will miss the Echo.
Yeah. Well, another cool thing actually that I think is getting much less attention in the broader like technology press, but I think a kind of a cool story is this Google Home local integration. So they've got it now. Their first partner, GE Smart Bulbs, will integrate via Bluetooth, low energy, and it says no hub required. So the Google Home hub is, I guess, the only hub is what they're saying there. There's no additional hub from the GE Smart Bulbs. They will communicate, I guess, directly with the Google hardware via Bluetooth low energy. So, no network, no internet, no additional hubs. It's just a device-to-device communication. So that's pretty cool. They've got a story up on CE Pro that we'll link to in the show notes. You can go check it out. Julie wrote it, and she talks about, quote, new-ish smart home scheme called Actions on Google Hardware, designed for pairing and communications. At the launch event today, Google announced its first local integration partner, GE Lighting. New made-for-Google bulbs under the GE brand will pair and integrate out of the box with all Google Home products, including Google Home Classic, Mini, and Max, as well as the new Google Home Hub announced today.
Cool. And there is one more thing. They kind of glossed over this, and I'm curious as how this works, is that they announced AV integration with the Google Home Hub. So like you can actually, I know Vizio is one of them, like I have a SmartCast TV, but they announced a bunch of other like AV type things. They put a big screen up. I'll grab a screenshot of that and try and put it in the show notes. But like LG was on there too. But if you have one of these TVs that has the integrations with Google Home or your Google Assistant, you can yell at your Google Assistant to like play something on Netflix, and it just pops up on your TV screen. Like that's really cool. And again, this is like almost the first gen device. Like this is what Google's bringing out of the gate, and I think Amazon's still trying to. I mean, you can do that with Amazon, but it's taken them like a couple of years to get to that point.
Right.
So Google is like just pushing forward and firing on all cylinders, and man, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, Vizio SmartCast allows consumers to enjoy added convenience through Google Home voice control to pause, resume, rewind, fast forward content playing on their Vizio smart TVs. User can simply say "Yo Google," followed by the command. See, it's so much easier to do that rather than say the A word. Like
right.
This functionality also crosses over to volume control and allows users to switch their TV's input and more. So, that's really cool.
Yeah. No, that would be very useful. I can imagine plenty of opportunities that I would use that, certainly here in my own home. And I agree with you that, feels like Google is firing on all cylinders when it comes to this stuff. And it'll be really interesting to see how the Google Home and A-word battle shape up over the coming years. I go back and forth on if I want to get buzzed or not. We're going to come back to that later in the show, but we'll wrap up our news here. All the links and topics that we've discussed tonight can be found in our show notes at HomeTech.fm/229. Once again, that's HomeTech.fm/229. While you're there, don't forget to sign up for our weekly newsletter. We'll send you weekly show reminders and occasional updates about what's going on here in the world of home tech.
Absolutely. And don't forget that you can join us live, usually on, Wednesday nights. It's definitely not Wednesday night tonight. It is
not.
late Tuesday.
We're off our schedule this week.
But to find out more about that, go to HomeTech.fm/live. And Jason, I have a question for you, sir.
Fire away.
I'm going to frame this, and I don't want to be hyperbolic about anything because, the news we have these days isn't hyperbolic, and I don't want to, come out with them, but and do that kind of thing. So I've got to say, though, today I got a little email from Domots, right? And so Domots is changing again how you're going to buy. Basically, you don't have to buy credits anymore. They're just changing again their business model. It seems, or not really their business model, but
pricing model.
How you price, how you interact with Domots as a dealer, and then of course back to your customers. How
they're
interacts.
changing their pricing strategy, right? They're not
exactly.
Yeah, they've done that several times. To say the least.
Several times, yes. I kind of laugh. Yeah. So, Jason, my non-hyperbolic question to you is, with these changes, it to me, like, Domot seems like to me like it's trying to find footing in a market with competitors who are cheaper by hundreds of dollars because those competitors are free, right? You have Oversee and Control4, which is PackEdge and iHeiji. So those are the three big guys in our industry: Domot's, PackEdge, iHeiji, and Oversee from SnapAV. Those are the three like massive companies, and two of them are free. And out of those two, we've seen them purchase. We've seen them like do all these things business wise, like for stock reasons, I guess. I don't know, like why you would spend a lot of money to prop your stock. It's something you can do, I guess. But like we've seen these companies just sit there for the past couple of years and not really do much, I guess. I mean, we've seen a little bit of integration wise, but I guess my point is when we started talking about RSM and RSM, like it was a big deal in our show. We really dove into this. When I remember talking to Domots like the first time, I got super excited about this. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. You need this little box. It costs like $2 a month or something like that. Pop it in. Don't have to worry. It'll email you if something goes down. Done. And I thought that was great. Same thing I guess you had at the time you had with iHeiji and a couple of other guys that were out there. We got real excited about this stuff, and then it just all kind of like, where did it go? And here's my non-hyperbolic question: is RSM dead?
That's non-hyperbolic.
Okay, so it is hyperbolic, and it is hyperbolic. So I'm sorry about that. No, I'm not.
Definitively no. I would say definitively no. I think you made a whole bunch of points there, and a lot of them are true. I think in my opinion, with RSM, Remote Systems Management, if you're not familiar with that acronym, which is a general term to encompass these sort of platforms in the home technology industry, is at a point, I believe, where we haven't talked about it a lot recently because we haven't seen a whole lot happen. I mean, Control4 acquired iHeiji sometime, I can't remember. I get dates all screwed up, but it was a while back.
And PackEdge.
Yeah.
PackEdge and then iHeiji.
They acquired PackEdge, a while back, and that came, of course, with Backpack, but that came with a whole bunch of other... There's a whole bunch of other reasons why they would have gone and acquired PackEdge. The iHeiji acquisition was... iHeiji. They were RSM, and that was it, and Control4 went out and purchased them, and we haven't seen a whole lot of movement. We know generally from the press releases and stuff that the vision is to take the best of Backpack and the best of iHeiji and merge those together into one platform, but Control4 is being pretty quiet about timelines on that. I'm not hearing anything either directly or through our partners that we work with. It's all in I would say typical Control4 fashion. They're going to keep it close to the vest until they have things pretty much fully baked and ready to ship. And so, we could wake up any day and hear that it's ready to go, and it'll be really interesting to see what that looks like. I do know that they introduced like an updated user interface to both sides, one or the other, to get people sort of used to like how things are going to be laid out a little bit differently, but I don't think they've really come close to announcing anything related to the broader merger of those platforms. But the point being, like, I think that the low-hanging fruit in the world of remote systems management has been picked. Like integrating with a whole bunch of different PDUs so that you have a single pane of glass to go reboot devices on all kinds of different, power conditioners, right? That's the point of entry. Everybody does that now. Notifications, user-facing apps like iHeege doesn't have that yet, or PackEdge, but Domotes and Oversee both have that. And there's a whole bunch of other, basic functionalities, network speed tests, basic ping tests to see if devices are on or offline. Like, all of these things are table stakes now. And to get to the next level, I think there are just bigger developments that have to happen. One of the big challenges is obviously configuration. There's not like a standard language. Like, you think about Control4's simple device discovery protocol. Like, something like that, or even that, right? You take that concept and put it into the world of remote monitoring and management, to where you could literally plug in like an RSM device into a system and have it go out and detect everything that's on the network and sort of automatically configure and optimize settings. And that's the next step, is easier device discovery, easier configuration. And then I would say more deeper integration into, I'm a firm believer, if we look at the smart home 5 to 10 years out or less, I think at most 5 to 10 years out, I think we're going to be talking a lot more about integration into not just the things we think about today, like entertainment and lighting and security, but like, what about all of the other subsystems in the home? Like, flow is a good example. Like, I think we'll see more of these sort of the smart home tying into, more sophisticated ways into your plumbing and leak detection, or into the appliances of your home, or smart energy monitoring and management, or home health applications, aging in place. Like, there's a lot of applications for remote monitoring and management of the connected home that we haven't even touched yet. Right. And so I think you see companies like Snap AV investing in partnerships with Lutron. They've got that new RAW2 repeater that has Oversee baked in. Like, Snap AV is making big investments in becoming the network for the connected home. That is what they want to do with Oversee, and I think that's what Control4 wants to do with Backpack and iHeege. So devices are becoming more and more connected. That is not going to stop. And the ability to do very sophisticated remote support and troubleshooting and monitoring of all of this connected stuff in the home is going to be a huge part of the future. I think right now we've reached a plateau, but not the peak of RSM. And then I know I'm going on for quite a while here. The last thing I'll say is I do think Domotz is an interesting case because, you have probably literally the two biggest companies in the industry, or at least two of the biggest.
I would say
I don't know who's bigger, Snap AV and Control4, and they're both making these investments not as a revenue generator, but as a tool to empower their dealers to provide end users with a better experience, because they know that it's value add, and they know that ultimately that's what drives broader adoption of the smart home, and that's where their interests lie. So Domotz, I think the economics for them are the hardest to figure out, and I think you see that in their shifting pricing strategies, but I hope they do. I think they're a great platform. I think it's got a lot of promise. I think they've done some really good things with it, and I wish them success. But I think from a technology perspective, they're all sort of in that same boat of like, all right, we've addressed the low-hanging fruit. What's next?
Yeah, and for me, from a simply really subjective viewpoint, like my own viewpoint, I think Domotz is the best out of those three. Just how you get to use it, how you interface.
It's a great platform.
Yeah, the app is beautiful. Like, and you can go in and do just about anything. It's really easy to go in and turn notifications on and off and set up a whole new system. So, I really like how Domotz works, and I guess I've liked them for a long time. Hold on. See, this is where we're going to have to go back into the and get somebody that is overseas or something to send us a recording on how to pronounce domots or domotes.
So I'm bad, and I think I pronounce it incorrectly. I think it's domotes.
Okay, so it wouldn't be the first time you're mispronouncing.
Domotes,
okay,
domots. I
domots,
go back and forth.
I have no idea. It looks like domotes now that you said it. So I'm sitting here staring at the word, saying it, and going, "Man, I wonder if Jason's right." Since he you wrote the book, like you were one of the co-authors on the book.
We did,
and so,
we wrote an extensive insider's guide to remote systems management. We'll include a link to that in the show notes, and it's due for an update. Admittedly, it was written a while back, so before the Control4 acquisition of IPG and things of that nature. But yeah. If you're interested in learning about the fundamentals of the space, it is still 100% relevant in understanding how these platforms are different, and what are the pros and cons to all these different feature sets. So yeah, we took an extensive look at this space to say the least.
Right. Well, I mean, and so that's why I asked you this question: is RSM dead? Because I am not nearly on the front lines. Like if there's any company that's on the front lines of RSM, it's OneVision, because it is your company. Like there is, I don't think a company like OneVision could possibly, I'm trying to think how they would, but I don't think they could exist without these RSM solutions in place. It'd be much harder.
Yeah, well, we definitely could. That gets into a bigger conversation about OneVision and how we see ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And certainly we don't see ourselves as beholden to this technology in order to provide clients with a great human experience readily available 24/7, and help our partners figure out all of the other stuff that goes into mastering service in a home technology business, which is very, very difficult to do. But to your point, yeah, it's an integral part of what we do, and we are emotionally invested in the space very heavily, in the sense that we want these companies to succeed and push, and we play nice with all of them. We support all of the platforms, and so we have daily interactions with all of these tools, and we're pretty up to speed with what's going on. And so in the sense that we haven't seen a whole lot of innovation on the technology side as of late, I would totally agree with you. Do I think it's a sign that category has peaked? By no means do I think that. I think we've only seen the beginning, and we're at a bit of a plateau here, if anything. And these companies like Control4 and SnapAV and hopefully Domotes as well, or Domots, or however the heck you say it,
will continue to. I think is how it's pronounced.
We'll continue to push and innovate, and ultimately it's a great category. I think it has an integral role to play in the future of the smart home.
Yeah, and I got to say, I'm labeling this the hyperbolic section of Seth's question here, but I am optimistic about RSM. I think I've always been gung-ho about it. I think it's a great tool to have. I think right now it's a specialty tool, and I'd rather see it be a tool. It's to me, it's one of those little flush cutters, right? Everybody in our industry should have flush cuts. Yeah, you need those, and you need RSM. But not every tech. He picks them up right off the desk.
They're on my desk. It's not a joke.
All right, so you need flush cutters. Jason has them. You need RSM. Jason has it too. But the problem is not every technician carries flush cutters, right? And you end up with a lot of scratches on your arm if somebody doesn't have those and they build a rack.
One of my biggest pet peeves ever, and all the pros know exactly what you mean when you say that.
Yep. So I want RSM to be more less like flush cutters and more like a drill. I want it to be that. And I guess I'm waiting for whatever that big feature is, or, I mean, Jason, honestly, this could come out of left field. It could be not one of these three players that introduces an RSM type product that takes the industry by storm and does more and better for lower cost. I don't know how you'd be less than free, but that's
a very good question.
Could still be potentially disrupted, I think.
Yeah, my money's on the current players, just because it is such a specialized market still, and I think it is going to be for quite a while.
Yeah.
And these guys all have a huge head start versus anyone who would be entering the space from scratch, so to speak. But I think to your point, yeah, like it's what a lot of us want. I know it's what I want as well, is to see RSM become more assumed, like just baked in, like it's on every job. And yeah, if you get a client who's, not comfortable for whatever reason with providing you that remote access, then you've got surefire ways to disable it. But it should be like almost like an opt out, not an opt in, right? Like in a loose sense. And I think that it makes me think of the potential of a company like Control4, given how deep their roots are in the control space, and they've got these processors going into every job. And what if RSM and the programming and configuration became just almost like one thing, like they're sort of baked together, and you put the processor in and it knows exactly what's what because you had to configure it to tell it what's going on in the house. And so there's already a baked in knowledge of the system, of how things are connected, and how could that be leveraged in new ways to make the remote monitoring and troubleshooting even more powerful than it is today. So, there's a lot of different ways you could go with that, but I think that these companies are invested in trying to grow the market, like scale, like really grow the market. And I think they know that the way to do that is to make their dealers more efficient and to make their end users more happy so that they have good things to say about the professionally connected home, which has traditionally been a challenging thing for our industry. And we all know that. So I think RSM plays a really important role in all of that.
Yep. No, I've been quote unquote out of the industry for roughly 2 years. Not out of the industry, but like still like not. My day job is not going out in a service truck like it used to be, right?
Right.
So, but I still get calls.
Yeah.
So I know there's still problems. I know there's still things that go on. And
always.
I'll go out on the weekend and visit a house and reboot something for somebody, and that is absolutely livid with what's going on. It's like, you've got good stuff. You've got a good installer. This is just frozen up. It's a computer, and I can see just by that, the stuff that comes to me, like RSM would be huge for these guys if they would use it. So, like I said, I'm optimistic about the space. I think it has a, I can see, kind of just talking to you, like, can kind of understand like why Control4 and SnapAV, what they could possibly do next. Like, what would the next level thing be? I'm kind of dreaming up some ideas in my head. And I think there could be some big things there. And before we started the show, we were talking a little bit about like VR. Like 2 years ago, we were all hearing about VR, and Oculus got bought by Facebook, and they were gonna do this, that, and the other. And it's almost like followed that trajectory. Like, we heard all this hype, we heard all these things about these companies, and then nothing. Like, they just all kind of went dark for a while, and they were announcing little things here and there, but nothing consequential. And then, like, the articles are coming out now, like, is VR dead? And
yeah.
And then the other day, I think Oculus actually released a product, and people were starting to use it and say, oh wow, this is actually pretty cool, and I can see how this could be used. It's just kind of the early days of whatever that is starting to sink in to people who are actually using the product. So I think that might be where we are now. Like, are we in that lull? I hope we are, like, before it starts, to rocket off. But I can be worried at the same time that it just keeps going down, and we lose. I would hate to lose like a third company. Like, what's going to happen to Domots if they can't figure out their pricing structure and they go out of business, and then we're left with two giant companies to kind of like make two competing standards that don't actually maybe not work with each other very well. So like that's kind of what I'm worried about. Like, Domot seems to like you could put the Domots in on a SnapAV install, you can put the Domots in on a Control4 install, and you're good to go. Yeah, but it's a little bit tougher to go back and forth between the other two.
Yep. No, absolutely, and it's a fascinating landscape, and I'm sure let's continue to keep an eye on it because I think you raise an interesting question, and it is an interesting time in RSM in its own right, even though we haven't seen a lot of innovation to sort of think about and speculate what are the next big things and how does this all play out is something that, I'm thinking about it all the time, right? And so always happy to always enjoy these conversations and could definitely keep going. But in the interest of time, let's move on. We'll wrap that section of the show up and let's jump into a beautiful, really cool picture of the week this week. And this is friend of the show, James from HomePlay. James is a very, very good friend of the show, supporter, very active in our Slack channel, The Hub, and sent this out. He's doing a revamp of their showroom here that's pretty extensive.
Hold on, Jason. Is this a rendering? Like,
you beat me to it.
I don't want to be fooled again. Yeah,
you beat me to it. I don't think this is a rendering. You know why?
Construction dust and the blue tape.
Scroll to the bottom. Yeah, you'll see why. I think this is actually real.
Look at the bottom. Look at the very bottom.
Are those flush cutters?
Those are flush cutters right there.
We got an episode title here.
I think we do.
No, but this is really cool. Like, I don't even know what to call it. Really, it's their sign. It's the HomePlay sign. Yeah, and you can tell it's got some nice lighting coming down on it. But what they've done is they've built this into like a plant wall where there's all these really cool plants coming out of the wall. And when James posted the picture, he acknowledged that he's got some trimming to do. It's a little bit overgrown on some parts of the logo, but you can see once that's trimmed back and that HomePlay logo is really popping out of there, what a cool idea. And then they've got a couple of the outdoor speakers at the top, the ones that look like Malibu lights now that are so popular. So they're going to have some music playing here as well. And really, really cool. I love what they did with this.
I think we'll have to talk to him a little bit about this whenever he gets done and can actually rest and breathe. But I mean, this is what a great idea. Like, if this is what I think it is, what a great idea on how to feature outdoor audio. Like, we thought about this in our showroom, and we thought about like building up a planter, like a fake planter inside, and putting one of those subs inside that planter, and then fake plants and that kind of thing. But if you don't have the space for that, this is a great idea. Like, this is a wall, and he's actually built in his logo into that wall with the landscaping built into it, right? So like, and it's fake plants, so it's not like you have to water them or do anything like that. And man, he's thought this through, because look at the lighting. The lighting's not only on the top, but look in the floor.
Yeah,
the lighting's down in the floor.
Uplighting there. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, he's done a great job with this. So I can't wait to talk to him, hopefully more in depth about what he's done here, because this is going to be a really cool showroom whenever he finishes. And this is not a rendering. Like,
I see some beautiful real pictures of the whole thing. Yeah. Not renderings.
Right.
Really, really good, accurate, realistic looking renderings, I might add.
Right. Yeah. Totally fooled us. We were just totally looking around like, oh wow, he's gonna put the theater over here and this and the other. But hey, if you are in the hub, James is actually posting some of those pictures up. Most every week, like he'll post a couple of pictures about progress and this, that, and they go. This is the end of it, right? This is where he's doing the trim work and putting things together. And I saw his theater screen go up the other day, and so this is like where it all comes together. And man, it looks like a ton of work, but I do not envy him for that. But it looks like it's going to be beautiful when he gets done too.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, moving on, here's Seth. We've got a mailbag entry, and I'm excited for this one because I mentioned just a few minutes ago in the show, I'm really struggling now. We've got this Alexa buzzer where I get that shock in my ears every time I say it, and it's working. Like, it's definitely
shock therapy. Yeah,
it's definitely got me on edge when I feel that word coming up in a sentence. But then I'm like, I don't want to say the A word because every time I say that, I feel like an idiot. So this is a dilemma that I'm having in my head as a weekly podcast co-host. And Peter Davidson wrote in actually about something different that we're not going to touch on here, but I loved his last couple of sentences in the email. It was a sort of a by the way thing. And Peter writes, by the way, ignore Richard. If the product happens to have the same name as the wake word, then he needs to turn his attention to the manufacturer. He goes on to say, I do listen to Richard's podcast too. He ran it a couple of weeks ago about this regarding the rest of the products using another product name than the wake word. I totally agree with Richard. But I think I'm going to take Peter's advice, and I hope that doesn't make post-production too painful for you. I think you've just given up on the dropout in post-production, right?
Oh yeah,
it's just the buzzer.
I just put the buzzer on you now, so.
which is always a couple of seconds late, so it doesn't actually solve anything other than making me more self-conscious. Anyways, I'm going to go with Peter's advice. I am going to continue to say Alexa until further notice. Thank you.
Well, I agree with both Peter and Richard. Like, it doesn't need to be the wake word. I managed to not wake up Google the entire time we were talking about a Google event, and I think Amazon should strive for the same goal. And that's
Is that your your last Amazon jab for the week?
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely met your quota.
If you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas, or hyperbolic questions for the show, give us a shout out. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm, or visit us at HomeTech.fm/feedback, and you can fill out the online form.
All right, that's right. And we want to, as we always do, Seth, give a big thank you to everybody who supports the show here, but especially to those of you who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about our Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support our podcast for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 will give you a shout out on the show, but every single pledge will get you an invite to our private Slack chat, The Hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day for inside conversations about all things home technology.
Yep. And Jason, I don't know if you've looked over at the Patreon page anytime soon, but we're getting dangerously close to having to do video. I mean, we say that.
Are we?
Yeah.
I know we've been inching up.
Yeah.
We've been inching up.
I guess I'm not logged in to see what we're at. Like, I think it's like 218 right now. I've got to go back and look at it. For whatever
219.
Reason. 219. Yeah. So we're getting closer and closer and closer, and I'm definitely going to try and do some video work and figure out that process. I'm going to get more serious about it. So we're going to have to figure out.
It's time.
Yeah, we got to do it. We're going to have to pull the trigger one of these days. So we're getting close to the $250 goal. We promised to do Hangouts. We're not doing Hangouts because Hangouts is garbage. And
we're definitely not doing Hangouts.
It's like the worst podcast I've ever seen in my life.
Time to update some copy.
Yeah. I'll get on that this week. But yeah, we're going to do something with video and make it pretty cool for the show. And so that's what we're hoping to do. And if you can support the show in that way, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support and check out our Patreon page. If you can't help the show financially, we'd appreciate you give us a rating on iTunes or the podcast app of your choice. 5 stars. That always is a good rating to give. I mean, any rating's good. And any feedback is great, but 5 stars is what we're going for. So, 5 stars. That's it.
Absolutely. Make it happen.
Yep.
Make it happen. All right, Seth. Well, another fun episode. Appreciate you being flexible with me this week. I am headed out to the ASEAN conference here this week. So we're recording on an off night, and I'm looking forward to that. We'll report back next week. ASEAN, if you're not familiar, one of the big buying groups here in the professional home technology industry, and they always put on good shows with speakers and stuff like that. And so hopefully I'll learn a thing or two. I look forward to going and meeting some dealers out there and having a good time. So it is here in Denver. I will not be traveling, but I'll be at dinners both nights this week. Appreciate you being flexible and look forward to reporting back next week.
No worries. And have fun there in Denver. Maybe is it downtown? Are you going to get to ride the scooters?
I'm gonna see if there's any bird sightings downtown. Actually, I'm very curious. There's a couple of stories in my feeds this week about bird, and they're trying to infest Seattle now. I think is their next target. But I'm still not 100% sure if they're in Denver or not.
With money burning hole in my pocket, this close to buying one of those Me scooters off of Amazon. So yeah, they're for sale on Amazon. You can find them, and they are fun. And I definitely could have used one. So yeah, have fun riding scooters if you get a chance this week.
Yep, will do, man.
All right.
I look forward to chatting with you next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care, Seth.